Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So today I just wanted to focus on one area of makeup. So I decided to focus on highlight, contour and bronze. I get so many questions about this saying that they don't know how to cream contour, they don't know how to do, they don't know where to put their blush and all that type of stuff. So I decided just to make a video just specifically for that. I know that there are a ton of videos out there for highlight and contour, but I have never done one, so I just decided to do one anyway. If I could teach one person something new, then I'm happy. So I just want to say as well that this highlight contour video is the more extreme version of highlight contour. It's not typically going to be everybody's everyday makeup. It is more of the, you know, going out full face, full coverage type of makeup. I'm also going to film a softer version of this. So if you are someone who doesn't wear a lot of makeup or wears very light minimal makeup, I am going to make a video for you. So make sure you subscribe so you can be notified when I put that video up. Anyway, less talking, more contouring. So I'm just quickly going to apply my foundation, and I'm using the Flawless Woke Up Like This foundation in this shade Sonoran. So I'm quickly just going to speed this process up to get straight into highlight and contour. For my next step, I usually do concealer. Sometimes I do cream contour, then concealer, but overall it's usually concealer, then cream contour. So I'm going to take my Shape Tape. This is in the shade Light Sand. I do use more of this than I actually need. I don't need as much concealer as I use. I don't have a lot of darkness underneath my eye, so I don't necessarily have a lot that I need to conceal, but I just do it more so for like a brightening effect. So I like to just do these triangles here, and I like to go down like the side of the nose here, because this kind of helps like slim your nose a little bit. And I like to just, again, just get the area in this triangle. So this triangle shape. So this is just going to give you that really nice brightening effect underneath the eye. And then I like to do my T-zone. So I like to do a little bit on my chin, because this is where the light hits, so you're going to get that little bit of brightness. A little bit along the top lip. This just helps a little bit give you the effect of a fuller lip. And then I like to do a little bit here. The reason I do here is just for that brightening effect, because we're going to bronze the outer part. So I'm just going to press this in with a beauty blender. My beauty blender is damp, by the way. You always want to use these damp. It helps just melt it into the skin. So I just keep pressing. So I did a bit more of a dramatic eye to go with the look. I'm actually going to do a natural version of this too. I think that's a good option too for people who don't wear a lot of makeup, or if you don't wear a lot of makeup, say during the week. So again, I'm just pressing all that in. So that is our concealer done. Now what I like to do is I like to cream contour. The reason I like to cream contour is because I just feel like it really like carves out my cheekbones. It just gives me that really nice contoured look. It's just something how I like to do. So I like to contour with cream. I like to set it then with a bronzer, which is a little bit warmer, and then sometimes I'll go back in again with a cooler toned powder. But I will go through that with you. I'm sorry if you can hear a plastic rattling in the background. It's Garfield. He has found a plastic wrapper, and he is very, very content and happy playing with that right now. He's so cute. He puts it in his mouth and then he walks around with it. I can't. He's just so cute. I'll show you him in a while. He's just a bit crazy right now. Okay, so I'm going to use my Smashbox contour stick for today. So basically you want to get right underneath your cheekbone. So a good like general rule of thumb is you want to start here like around the lock of your hair, or like the top of your ear, and you want to go down towards the corner of your mouth. So that's the direction you're going. You're not going to go as far as here, but this here is the direction you're going to go. You can also just feel your face and see where your cheekbone is, so you want to just get right underneath it. So I'm going to draw a little line here. I'm going to do the other side exact same. I'm just adding a little bit more, so when I blend it out, I have the right amount of coverage that I want. So yeah, I usually generally go around halfway because you're going to blend it out and it's going to like buff and diffuse. So I generally find halfway through this point is enough. I'm also going to do my jaw. This isn't something I do all the time, but again, just because we're doing a bit more of an extreme contour. So you can see it went along here and along here. So basically what this is going to do is anywhere you add contour, it's going to pull it back, pull it in, because it's creating a shadow effect. So it's going to pull it in, and anywhere where you lighten is going to bring it out. So you're kind of just getting that balance between like light and darkness. And I don't do all around my forehead, I just do the corners here. So what I do now is I don't blend this out with a beauty blender. That just doesn't work for me. I use a small brush. This one I'm going to use is a Morphe Y10 brush. Other brushes I like to use are something like this, which is a Morphe G37. And I also have another one here. This is a Tarte brush. There's no name or number on this one. But see this type of idea of brush. So you basically want it fluffy enough that it's going to really help softly diffuse the contour out, but also dense enough to keep the coverage. And then you also don't want it too big. You want to be able to control the placement. So that's why you always use a smaller brush when you're blending out contour, because it's such a specific placement of product. So yeah, a small brush. So anything in and around this size is usually something that I do, and it always works for me. So I'm going to use the Y10 brush from Morphe, and then just in small circular motions, I'm just going to really lightly just start to blend. So see how that's just blending? So you kind of want it to come down. You don't want it to be a big thick line. You want it to kind of look like a triangle, because you want it to come down nice and neat. Whereas if it's going thick all the way, it looks crazy. It's just not what you want. So just think of another little triangle. So you have a triangle here, and then you have a triangle here. So again, I'm just kind of buffing this in to and around my ear. So just really lightly blend. And you don't want to go down too low. You want to literally keep it within this small tiny area. So see here, we're starting to get that shadow effect. And then what I like to do is I'll take my beauty blender and just go around any edges. If it hasn't blended the way I wanted it to blend, this will always help just kind of diffuse all the products out. But the brush did a pretty decent job itself. So that is my cheekbone. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing with my jaw. This can be the same width all the way around, but you want to really make sure this is blended out, because you don't want to look like you have a big line. You know, when your makeup is too dark for your neck and you have that big line, this is what it can tend to look like. So really make sure you buff it out. So just circular motions and just keep going. So with circular motions like this, it's really going to help diffuse all the product out, and just keep your brush moving, 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 moving. So see there, it just kind of helps pull the jaw in. I'm going to go over it with my beauty blender too, because I really don't want to have a big black line. So you're just basically creating shadows. And I'm going to do this little bit here, and then in the exact same way I am doing little circular motions around the forehead. So again, this is just going to give us that little bit of a bronzy effect and create again that more oval face shape. And another thing is, hold your brush lower towards the back than right up to the front, because when you're holding it at the front, you're kind of like digging and you're like, you know, you're going for it. Whereas when you hold it a little bit lower at the back of the brush, at the back of the handle, it's just softer, it's nicer. Your hand isn't as tense in, so just a little bit lighter. It gives you lighter movements, whereas here it's heavy and it's hard. So hold it back. That's another little trick that will definitely help, and do that with all your brushes all the time. Your eye brushes, when you're blending out your eyeshadow, hold your brush at the end. Trust me, it will make a huge difference. This is it blended out, which I think looks really good. I'm happy with that. So it just has that really soft hollowed effect to the cheek, snatches this a little bit and gives us a bronziness in around the forehead. Also tip, do not powder before you do cream contour, because what happens is then if you powder then put cream contour on, it's just a hot, cakey, disgusting, mucky mess. Trust me. Keep everything nice and creamy until you're ready to then go in with your powders. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to set my foundation. I'm going to take my Hourglass translucent powder. So with my powder, I like to set underneath my eyes and down around my T-zone. I do not bake. I never bake. I've tried it so many times and it just doesn't work. All I end up looking, it's gross. For some reason, it just makes me look so wrinkly. All it does is, if I bake underneath my eyes, it's like it shrivels up its life. And then I'm left with a wrinkly old eye. It's, I don't know, it's just like, it's not flattering at all. It is just the worst. It's so terrible on me. So that's why I don't bake. But I do still powder underneath my eyes. I like to use a smaller brush. I like to use dome shaped brushes. I feel like they fit in all these areas perfectly. So that's why I like this shape. So I'm taking a little bit on my brush and I like to just kind of press it underneath the eye and then lightly just blend. And I'm using that just with the tip of my, or with the lightest touch. So I like to just press and then lightly kind of dust the rest on. I also like to just lightly powder down my T-zone. I also like to do down around my smile lines and my chin. I am going to lightly powder along my jaw, because this area here is one of the areas where my makeup will wear off the quickest. So if I'm wearing something that's quite dewy and I don't powder it, it's not going to stay on as long. So next what I do is I will bronze. The bronzer I've been using lately is this one from MAC. It's called Delphique, I think. It's part of one of their collections. This is what it looks like. It looks kind of actually quite warm there in camera. But it's not like, it's not too warm and it's not too cool. It's just like a good middle of the road shade. Because you don't want anything that's too cool because it ends up going too mucky. But you also don't want anything that's too warm because then you look like an Oompa Loompa. And okay, don't mind my brush is dirty. I have like 0 clean brushes. I feel like that's the story of my life. I say that in every tutorial, but I just never have time to get around to washing all of my brushes. I have a huge bag full of brushes and I just keep putting it off. Anyway, I like to use big fluffy brushes like this. This one is a Morphe R7 brush. What I like to do with my bronzer is I like to go around the outer perimeters of the face and also go over the contour, just to help set the contour as well. So I usually start kind of in around my cheekbones. So I just like to add that little bit of warmth into my skin. I am all about the bronzier the better. So as bronzy as I can look without looking like dirt, I will go there. So I'm going along the jaw as well. And because this is a big fluffy brush, you can really just kind of get in there and like diffuse the product. And I kind of do lightly, like, I don't get any extra on, but I'll kind of just like buff it in around my cheeks as well. Just gives that a little bit more of a bronzy glow. So we still have the nice contour underneath the bronzer with added bronzy glow. There is a third step to my contour. Not a very necessary step, but it's what I like to do, so I'm just going to show you what I like to do. And I do like to add a tinchy bit more powder bronzer just right underneath my cheekbones. But again, it's just personal preference. You can skip this bit. I just like to take a little bit of a smaller brush. This is a Morphe M530 brush. I'm going to take a bit of the Hoola. So this is really pigmented. You only need a tiny amount. So just get some on my brush and just bang off any excess. And then I like to just go exactly where I went with the cream contour. Again, hold your brush back to the end of the handle. So I just like to carve lightly. So I like to do this just in a quick back and forth motion. And then I'll flip the brush around to where there's no product and just like softly kind of blend that out. So you can see here then I have a little bit more of a contoured cheekbone. Again, this is just my personal preference because I like my cheekbones to stand out a little bit more. For you, you can like totally skip this step. I'm going to do a little bit of blush before I do my highlight. I'm going to take Style blush from MAC, so it's a really soft, subtle blush. It also has like a frosty finish, so it does give you that slight bit of glow to your cheeks. I'm going to use the same brush that I use for contour. I just gave it a little wipe off. Best way to do it is smile in the mirror, and when you smile, like you can see your little apples of your cheeks pop out. That's pretty much where you want to get most of your product. So if you smile, and then I like to kind of just wish it on like this, back and forth. Just to kind of, you're hitting off the cheeks. But this is because I don't like a lot of blush. I like it to stay quite subtle. But I am just tipping this off my skin really, really, really lightly. Always use the lightest touch, always. And then what you can do slightly is just kind of dust it back a little bit. You don't want to go too far back, but you can kind of like slightly blend what's left back. Just so everything is blended. You see we have that little bit of colour to the cheeks, and you can see that like soft glow already that we're getting. So I'm gonna now take a tiny little bit of Hoola, and I'm just gonna run it down the sides of my nose. I don't like to do a lot of contour on my nose, but sometimes I just do a little. So I'm just going right down the sides with just a little bit of powder at a time. So I like to just also do the sides around my nose here, just to slim it down a little bit and just make it look a little bit more narrow. And I just like to go along the edges then with my beauty blender just to kind of soften everything. How's my boy? You got some purrs? You're always the best for purrs, aren't you? You see what's going on? There's lots happening up here, isn't there? You're not allowed up here though, because you eat the plants. And pretty much everything. Kissy? So cute. And sleep? Do you want to go to sleep? See? Ah no, that's my eyelash. Okay, so once we are done, I'm gonna finish off this by highlighting. I'm gonna take the NARS Fort de France highlight. And my favourite size of brush is something that's in and around this size. I feel like you just like get the right areas with this. It's just a good size. You don't want to use a brush that's too big because it's going to go everywhere. Again, placement is key. So for your cheekbones, you pretty much want to do just above your contour. So you're creating that lighten, darkening effect that's going to give you that contoured cheekbone, highlighted cheekbone look. Hold it at the end as always. And then I'm going to lightly just go above this. And I like to bring it down a little bit onto my cheek. Just a little. You don't want to go too much up here, because that's when it's going to start looking wrinkly. So keep it exactly on the cheekbone. If it does go too heavy or it's just something's a bit weird for you, your beauty blender will be your best friend for everything. You just press it on. Say if you went down too much here. And it just helps melt everything back into the skin. And I also sometimes like to do up around the temple. And the reason I like to do that is because you can see just kind of that's like where the light is going to hit your forehead. It's just right there. Now I'm just going to do a little bit down the nose. I just use the same brush. So I just use the side of the same brush. And just lightly go down the bridge. And then I like to get a little bit on my finger and just dab it on the tip of the nose. Again, I'll just go in with my beauty blender with that then so it doesn't look like a Tin Man. And then again, on above the lips, it just helps emphasize your top lip and kind of makes your lips look a little bit more plump. And that is pretty much it for highlight and contour. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you have any tips or tricks you want to tell me, or if you want to just share it, then please leave it in the comments below. I hope you found this video helpful. As I said, I do know there are a ton of them out there, but hopefully you learned something new from mine. Anyway, I'm going to go. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.